There is a paradox pulsing at the heart of the universe. Light, the very fabric of visibility, behaves as both wave and particle. Two realities, one phenomenon. It is not either-or, it is both. This isn't just quantum weirdness, it's a cosmic clue. Because if the universe is built on contradiction, then so too are you. You are soft and sharp. You want freedom, and you crave belonging. You carry dreams of becoming, while yearning to return home. You're a mystery in motion, unfolding across time and identity. Never just one thing, never fully explainable. And yet, the modern mind wants things clean, simple, labeled, boxed and archived under truth. We're taught to pick a lane, to define, reduce, resolve. But what if truth doesn't always arrive as clarity? What if it shows up as complementarity? Two things, seemingly opposed, both being true in different lights. In physics, this is not poetry, it's law. You can measure a photon's location, or you can measure its momentum, but not both at the same time. Not because of flawed instruments, but because reality itself behaves this way. And here's the leap. What if your inner world follows the same pattern? What if your deepest self is also unresolvable? You are both the observer and the observed, the stillness and the storm, the knower and the one who longs to be known. Your thoughts carry particles of truth. But when you try to pin them down too tightly, they dissolve into waveforms. Emotions crash over reason. Logic bends under beauty. Love defies every equation, yet leaves an unmistakable imprint on reality. And so we return to the paradox. To be human is to be irreducible. You are not a puzzle to be solved. You are a spectrum to be held. This is where most suffering begins. In the refusal to let two truths coexist. We try to silence one part of ourselves so the other can feel right. We cling to certainty to avoid the dissonance of the unknown. But what if that dissonance is where life lives? What if contradiction isn't a flaw, but a feature? A compass not to correctness, but to depth. Because in that space between opposites, between wave and particle, between soul and skin, something sacred stirs. And when you stop trying to resolve yourself, you start to receive yourself, not in fragments, but as a beautifully impossible whole. When you were younger, perhaps you thought wholeness would feel like resolution, like all the inner voices finally agreeing, like the end of contradiction. But now you see, wholeness isn't neat, it's wide. It holds the part of you that longs for solitude, and the part that aches for connection, the part that wants to lead, and the part that secretly longs to be held. Your truth is not singular, it's symphonic. And here's the paradox. The more you try to silence the tension between opposites, the more fragmented you feel. But when you allow them to exist, together without judgment, something opens. This is the lesson of complementarity. That opposing forces are not always in conflict. Sometimes they're in conversation. In Taoism, this is yin and yang. Light and dark swirling together in a dance so intimate, they can't exist without each other. In Jungian psychology, it's the integration of shadow and light. The merging of conscious and unconscious to form a more complete self. In the wave-particle duality of quantum physics, it's the astonishing realization that reality doesn't collapse until it's observed. And maybe that's the invitation here, to observe yourself with gentleness, not judgment. To witness your own contradictions without rushing to resolve them. Maybe you can be someone who trusts deeply and still holds protective edges. Maybe you can love another fiercely and still prioritize your own path. Maybe you can be both wild and wise, soft and sovereign. The human experience is not meant to be binary. It is layered, nuanced, evolving. And yet the world keeps offering you false choices. Be spiritual or grounded. Be successful or selfless. Be logical or emotional. Pick a side. Choose a box. But the soul doesn't live in boxes. It moves like water, taking the shape of what it touches, reflecting what it receives, and carrying the memory of everything it's passed through. So what happens when you stop choosing between two truths and start choosing to inhabit both? You begin to live in the paradox. And the paradox, surprisingly, begins to feel like home. Because in that space between definitions, you begin to touch the ineffable. The part of you that is not this or that, but simply alive, vast, uncontained, both wave and particle, both question and answer, both wound and wisdom. And in that realization, something inside you exhales, not because the mystery has been solved, but because it has been welcomed. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that contradiction was a weakness, that it meant you were confused, inconsistent, untrustworthy. But maybe contradiction is simply evidence that you're awake. You are not meant to be static. You are designed to evolve, to stretch between poles of understanding, to bend reality into something uniquely your own, like light bending around gravity. You bend around love, longing, grief, truth. You shift depending on perspective, but that doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're full. Think of a prism. When white light passes through it, what do you see? Color, multiplicity, spectrums. The one becomes many. And yet the many still belong to the one. This is you, and this is the sacred task. To hold the many without forgetting the one. To honor all your internal archetypes, the artist and the analyst, the rebel and the nurturer, the mystic and the skeptic. Each holds wisdom. Each is real. Each pulses with presence. The mind prefers single stories, but the soul is always plural. And here's the secret most philosophies forget. Contradiction is not the enemy of clarity, it's the womb of it. Because in that friction between opposites, a deeper form of knowing is born. Not the kind you explain, but the kind you become. So when you say, "I'm feeling lost," maybe what you really mean is, "I'm letting go of who I thought I had to be." When you say, "I'm torn," perhaps you're being invited to integrate, not eliminate. And when you whisper, "I don't know anymore," it may be the most honest prayer you've ever spoken. Because what's emerging is not a tighter version of you, but a truer one. One who no longer seeks to be legible to others. One who no longer edits themselves to fit an old identity. One who can stand in the mystery, unafraid to be both light and shadow, both question and conviction. You become someone who doesn't ask, "Which part of me should I be?" But instead, "How do I make space for all of me to arrive?" This is the new kind of strength, not the armor of certainty, but the openness of being. You will confuse others. You will even confuse yourself. But in the silence between contradictions, you will start to hear something deeper. The sound of your life finally aligning with the shape of your soul. You are not a riddle to be solved. You are a relationship, unfolding, reframing, revealing. And just like the wave that becomes a particle only when observed, perhaps you too become someone different depending on the gaze that meets you. But here's the liberation. You don't have to be consistent to be authentic. You don't have to pick a single frequency to be real. You are coherence in motion, not despite your contradictions, but because of them. This is what ancient mystics, modern physicists, and everyday poets have in common. They all live comfortably inside the unresolvable. They stop demanding one clean answer. They begin bowing to the beauty of both and. In this spaciousness, new questions begin to emerge. What if your uncertainty is not a signal of failure, but the birthplace of wonder? What if tension isn't something to escape, but something to feel through? What if every polarity is an invitation, not to collapse into one side, but to live at the center of the paradox? You begin to notice your joy is made sharper by your sorrow. Your ambition is deepened by your humility. Your solitude is enriched by memory. Your presence, shaped by your past. You begin to sense that you are not separate from the cosmos. You mirror it. The universe is not asking for your certainty. It is asking for your presence, not for finality, but for reverence. The moment you let go of needing to choose between your contradictions, you become a bridge between them. And this is no small thing. It is perhaps the quiet superpower of our time. To live uncollapsed. To walk through the world as someone who holds tension without retreating, who reflects nuance without apology, who embodies complexity with grace. You don't shrink into a single identity. You ripple outward, as wide as light itself, waves, particles, people. We are all the same mystery, seen from different angles, felt in different ways, never fully known, yet always true. So the next time you feel torn between who you were and who you're becoming, between what you believe and what you feel, between your silence and your roar, remember this: you are not broken, you are both. And that is more whole than any one answer could ever be. Next time on the Quiet Paradox series, we explore the heap and the line, the Sorite's problem and how boundaries quietly lie until then. Stay curious, stay conscious. If this stirred something inside you, subscribe, like, and share this with a fellow seeker.